Stop searching for the how-to and become the person that can adapt and overcome any challenge that comes your way. You say you want success, but are you really ready for it? Have you done the deep foundational work to become the person that can truly be successful? Stop looking for hacks. Stop looking for shortcuts and realize that consistency is the key. And I'm going to talk to you about how to make that possible. You need to become the person that has complete and total consistency, or you will never succeed. Even if you get lucky and you achieve some sort of success, you will wind up putting yourself in a situation where you burn out, you lose it, or you just can't replicate it. Because the truth is, you've never built yourself into the person that can maintain it, replicate it, or rebuild it. And that is why it's so important to develop yourself, as opposed to thinking some outside strategy is going to give you all the tricks and all the tips on how to do things. This is the internet marketing scam that I see every day. And it's really about building yourself into the person that can execute and adapt to the changing markets, especially with today. I'll tell you a little story. Back in 2003 to 2008, there was a huge marketing boom in the real estate market, and people were blowing up. Loans were super cheap. Millionaires were being produced, loan officers, real estate brokers, realtors, and they were riding this wave. And they didn't really have the skill or development to become the person that could build a sustainable long-term business. It was like they were just taking candy from a baby. It was just super easy. And when the time came for them to actually step up to the plate and build a business, when the market started to crash, they didn't have the skills. They couldn't handle the pressure. They didn't have the relationships. They were just riding the easy wave. And most of them failed, about 95% of the people I knew. And there was a small little clique of the 5% of people that literally flourished. And I have some friends that are worth literally tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars today, because they were the ones that built themselves into the people that could handle and adapt to those situations, because this is what the market does. This is what business does. This is what life does. And if we can't handle the pressure, then we can't expect to truly succeed. If you develop the mindset, the habits, and the identity of a successful person, you will always be able to succeed in any situation that you're in. And there's always going to be something new. There's always going to be some trick or hack or strategy, but it's really about who you become if you can actually execute those things. You won't just make money. You'll develop unshakable confidence, and you'll build wealth and impact that's for the long haul. We're talking about generational sustainable wealth here, because you're willing to do the work and build in your business, but also build in yourself. There's a great saying, and it says that your business will never outgrow your personal growth. And I truly believe that, because you have to become the person that can handle all the pressures of what's coming at you. I know what you're thinking. No, I just need a good strategy. Nah, man, I'm telling you, because the right mindset and habits will outwork any strategy any day. And you can't actually execute that strategy if you are not the person that is capable of doing that. That's like walking into the gym and saying, I'm going to lift 315 pounds. But if you are not built that way, you won't be able to handle the weight. Some of you might say, I'm not cut out for success. But I'll tell you this right now, success is a skill set. That's all it is. That's the only separator. It can be built. It's not a charisma thing. Sure, those things help. It's not a relationship thing. Sure, those things help. It's a skill that you can build daily. And we're going to talk about how to do that. And some of you might just say, I don't have time for this. Well, I can tell you right now, if you don't have time to prioritize your self-mastery, do not expect to be successful in any area of your life that you're trying to achieve. Okay, here's tip number one, and it's going to be probably something that's not super popular, and that's you really need to balance your action with your rest. If you don't do that, you will burn, and this is all about consistency, and I'm going to give you some ways to do that. Use time blocks and schedule focused work, okay? I do about 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. If I don't do that, and I don't get myself a timer, I find myself incapable of actually performing at the high level of creativity that I need to produce at the level I want. Our brains can only operate so much. There's a reason why Steve Jobs wore a black t-shirt and jeans every day, and why I wear a damn black t-shirt and jeans every day, is because I have so much work that I need to perform on, and I want to be at my highest level, and my bandwidth is only so much. So understanding where your action is intertwined with your rest, you really start to see yourself as like, I'm this machine and I only have so much bandwidth, and I want to make sure that I'm utilizing the bandwidth at the right times of day with the right amount of creativity, and knowing when this is shut off, I'm no longer capable of performing for the rest of this day. And we can build that. We're going to talk about that. You really need to listen to your body. like you need to become emotionally aware, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, is in reality, like if you're irritable, if you're grumpy, did you eat? Did you get enough sleep? Did you get enough rest? If you don't learn to be in touch with your body, your performance capacity will decrease exponentially. And something else that's really important is play. If we don't allow ourselves to play, to dance, to have joy, to have sex, to have Netflix and chill and binge and all these things that are going to recover us, we won't have the capacity to sustain the long haul. Even Alex Hormozy says when he's done with the day and his brain shuts off, he Netflix and chills. That's it. And people can talk all the shit that they want, but he's like, that is what I do because it shuts my brain off and it gives me the peace that my mind needs so it can recharge. You need to get very disciplined on your sleep schedule. And I always say your morning routine starts the evening before. You need to be focused and say, I go to bed at this time every day. If you go to bed at that time every day, you will wake up on time and your daily routine will reflect that, and you won't be always scrambling, to get these things fit in. Your nighttime bedtime is crucial. Okay. And also you need to dedicate times for meditation, times to read and find some peace and some solitude and some stillness. We need to cultivate that inner development, because if we don't, we're just operating from that outer external brain thinking. And we want to blend these two together. Another major one is active recovery. So people think, what is that? For me, it's boxing, it's jujitsu, it's weights, it's the gym, because these things allow me to have a singular focus, and they actually allow my brain to rest and do something that brings me joy and excitement and gets all of those juices flowing. People ask me, why do you train sometimes 3 to 4 times a day? I'm like, because it's for my mental health. It's not for my body. My body is the side byproduct of that. My brain needs to shut off. It needs to go in different directions so I can come back, be refreshed, and then operate from a creative perspective. And I want to share this with you. Creativity is such a big deal. In this world, if you're going to do anything that's success oriented, once you start to succeed and you step away from the day-to-day task and you start handing things off, you really become a creator. Even if that's a creator on YouTube or podcast, but even just in your business, your job is to create. And minuscule tasks are easy to perform daily if that's what you're doing in your business right now or in your life. But when you've actually got to step out of that box and think big picture and create, if your brain is not there, you're not going to be able to show up. I just went through 6 months of crazy trauma, and I will tell you that I was unable to actually create. And so what I've learned is we need to really baby our brains and give them the recovery and the recharge that we need so we can go out and create amazing, powerful things and have employees to execute those things for us. That's what a real leader does. Listen, I've watched this play out in my life and in thousands of people that I've coached, okay? And what I thought was, if I just had the right opportunity, if I just had the right system, everything was going to work out. But I realized it was really about me becoming the person that could handle the right opportunities when they came my way, that could lead the people when I got more people under me, that was able to actually execute those things, because all those strategies didn't matter. And I'll tell you a really cool story right now. All right. So I remember being in Cambridge, right? I'm in Cambridge. My partner's going to university there, and I'm on a completely different time zone, and we took on a whole new system for sales. And I was super excited about it. I'm like, we spent $30,000 on the program we were in. We spent $10,000 for the build out. We had like 100 zaps. If you know what zaps are, they just connect different apps and software. We could see every single angle of the pipeline. We were building a sales team, and we did all of these things. And I'm like, this is it. We're going to blow up. We 5X last year. We're going to 10, 20X this year. And you know what? It all failed. And let me tell you why. Number one, I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, crushing the gym and working all day. And then my team would come online in the United States at 5 p.m. my time. And now I'm rushing, right? Like I'm trying to have a cool, nice, relaxed cooking dinner with my partner so I can connect with her because she's been in school all day. Knowing in the back of my mind, I've got to go out there and crush my team for the next 4 hours till 10 o'clock at night. And I wasn't developed enough as a leader to know how to do what it took to lead this whole team, give myself the rest I needed, and understand the balance of execution versus rest. And to be honest with you, I really did fail, and I had to become a different person, right? Despite all the setbacks, I kept growing internally into somebody that could lead my people, that could delegate properly, but most important, that I could lead myself. I had to learn to lead myself. And I'm going to talk about managing ourselves here in a minute. It's really important. Success isn't just about the strategy. It's about the identity of the person executing it. That's why there's a beautiful saying, and it says, I'm more afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. That should go to show you how important it is to be a leader in whatever it is that you're doing. If that's with your community, if that's with your family, it's with you, right? It starts with you. If it's with your employees, it's with your team. You have to become that person, because if you don't have the right habits, the right mindset, the right emotional control, which we're going to talk about right now, no blueprint is going to save you. That I promise. Because the people who sustain success are the ones who are committed to evolving as individuals. Let's talk about emotional regulation, because right here is the key to leadership in all areas of your life. Like I said, with your team, with your family, with your community, with yourself, with your friends. Here's some tools to emotionally regulate. There's something called box breathing, and it's so powerful. But the reality is this, Viktor Frankl, he said, when you have a stimulus and then you have a response, there's a tiny little space in there where you have the opportunity to choose how you react. And that can make the difference in all of your relationships, in all of your business decisions, and you as a person. So in order to do that, we have to learn to pause. So that's why I like to do what I call box breathing. I do 5 breaths in, or 5 seconds. I hold that breath for 5. I let it out for 5, and then I hold it out for 5. And I repeat that process 2, 3, 4, 5 times to find some space so that I can now react in an emotionally regulated way. I like to name the emotion, right? It actually takes away its power because it's not so elusive anymore. And I name it and say, this is how it feels in my body. And this way, now I can navigate that space of like, this is what I'm actually feeling. This might be difficult at first, but over time, you will understand. You'll have more of a repertoire of ways to actually name those things and what they are. And then you'll notice how they work in your body. And then you'll create patterns and go, oh, I'm feeling this. And usually I need to do that. So name those emotions so you start to create a relationship with your emotions themselves. Most people don't know who they are. A big one is shifting the narrative from this is overwhelming, I can't figure this out, to this is challenging, I know what I'm doing, I will be able to solve this problem. And sometimes you just need to walk away. But the reality is you've got to have a mindset shift. Another great tool is just being able to walk away. Take a 5-minute walk. Shaking. I think shaking is one of the most underrated ways to literally shift your whole mind, nervous system, body. Just get up there, stand up, and shake for like 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And honestly, what I like to do is I like to put on some music that really pumps me up, if that's hip hop, if that's reggaeton, if that's rock, whatever. And I just like to dance and sing for 5 minutes. It changes the whole frame, and then I can go back to doing the work. If you find yourself emotionally unregulated, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, it's your responsibility as an adult to figure out how to handle those things. And these are the toolboxes. And you want to create an emotional toolbox for yourself, right? You want these go-to strategies like journaling, breath work. Some of this is preemptive, right? Do breath work on your own, do journaling on your own, do meditation on your own before you get to that space. So what I've learned is it's a twofold process. One is I want to make sure I'm doing the daily things that keep me pretty even keel. Am I meditating? Am I eating right? Am I doing my breath work? Am I going to sleep on time? Am I allowing the inputs of the people around me to be positive influences and nothing negative? But then do I have the toolbox to go, I need to shake right now, I'm in it. I need to walk right now, I'm in it. For me, I like to take a lot of calls when I go walk, and I'll go walk for 3 or 4 miles and take a call, because just that movement, we are high level achievers and we need to move. It's even a proven fact that high levels of cardio is the number one natural defense to depression and anxiety. So just think about somebody like yourself that wants to become this person that can execute anything. We are a different caliber of human being. We need this type of tools and this type of movement. Listen, your job is to know yourself. And one way that I get to know myself is through reading. And I get to learn things about other angles, and I get to learn about how I function and operate. Because every time I'm reading a book, it's all about us, right? We're always thinking about us. So how does this reflect in my life? What am I doing? And so some great books around these subjects are Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. David Goggins has 2 great books on discipline and mental toughness. And then what I really like is the Joe Dispenza stuff, because Joe Dispenza really talks about completely and totally rewiring your brain to think in a different way so that you're not repeating your past, but you're actually manifesting and creating your future. So those are just some books that I think would be really good for you. And then I want to finish with a third tip here. If you really want to change, you literally need to let the old version of yourself die. And that means giving up so many things that are comfortable and so many things that bring you peace and space. And so we have to realize that if we want to become this new version, we're shedding our old skin like a snake. And that is the key to this work. So let's talk about how we do that. Number one, I want you to journal as the future version of yourself. How do they think? How do they act? What do they do? Something that I do all the time is I journal and I brain dump all the garbage that's in my head. Then I write out gratitude, and then I write from the future version of myself as though it's already taken place. This is how I shift my identity to become this future person. Create a daily reminder. I am the type of person who ... I'm the type of person who's disciplined and motivated even when motivation fades. That's just an example, but think about a daily affirmation you can give yourself. Set some reminders in your phone. I love the whole screen share thing. Mine says on my screen share, or my screensaver, I'm sorry. On my screensaver, it says, am I the person I want to become? Is this next choice bringing me closer to that person? Or is this next decision keeping me away, right? Choice, decision, who am I becoming? Like, think about these things. We have to change our full mindset. And this isn't about faking it till you make it. This is about you're literally developing and crafting this person. Yeah, you're not supposed to be 100% there. It is the future. Number two, I want you to set process-based goals. I call these leading and lagging indicators. And the key with leading and lagging indicators is this. I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. That is a lagging indicator. That means in the future, you will have lost 50 pounds if you did what? Well, what did you do? No, the leading indicator is I will go to the gym and do cardio for 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week for the rest of this year. That will most likely get you much closer to your goal than setting a goal of I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Track small wins. We need to learn to celebrate ourselves because it creates motivation, it creates momentum, and most importantly, it creates self-love. When we really start to love ourselves, we start acting in a way that aligns with that self-love. And in order to do that, we need to celebrate these little wins to remind ourselves of how amazing we are. Everything you want and all the work I do is on the other side of self-love. That I can promise you. Learn to delay gratification. And so one way that I do that is what we call dopamine detours. If, for example, if you're going through a breakup and you're trying not to think about your ex, every time you think about your ex, drop down and do 10 push-ups. You have to create a pattern interrupt in your mind. And these dopamine detours are so crucial because you're addicted to thoughts of things that aren't beneficial for you, or I need to go in the cabinet and grab, a snack. Whatever it is that you have identified that is pulling you off track from where you want to be, create a pattern interrupt to get yourself through that space. And so you can actually do the things that you desire to do, not what you're addicted and being pulled to do by your own limiting capacity of emotional regulation. Listen, this work is the same as any type of physical work. And so why I bring that up is I was able to do 2 hours of boxing, 2 hours of jujitsu, train 4 times a day, but you put me in front of a computer for 30 minutes and I wanted to throw that thing through the wall because my mental gym in that regard, internally versus externally, was weak. Now I couldn't do jujitsu for 5 minutes when I started, but the reality is I learned that if I kept pushing my endurance and my lungs and my mind, I would get better. And now I've created that, but I didn't have it in this space. So you need to learn that you have to give yourself grace. This space is something that will take time to develop, but once you do, you'll build yourself up incrementally to the point where you can, sit down for 30 minutes and work. It might turn into sit down for 3 hours and work. But I will say, break up those hours in increments so you are the freshest and most creative as possible. Listen, stop waiting to become the person you want to be and start acting like them right now today. Don't let your identity lag behind there. Let it start catching up. Because if you do that and you act like this person, it'll start to catch up and you will just eventually evolve into that. And the most important thing I want to say with all of this is be really kind to yourself. And in order to do that, make sure the future version of yourself can look back at you and say, I'm so grateful that you chose to do what you did 10 years ago because look where we're at now. Like, that's real self-love. Be the person that 10 years from now, you look back and be like, man, you really did an amazing job. Like, thank God you did that. I really appreciate you, because if you didn't do those things, I don't know where we'd be today. So that's the person that you're really thinking about, right? There's a saying, the only person you need to really appease in your life is the 80-year-old version of you and the 8-year-old version of you. So just think about that, and just know that as we move into these chapters of our life, it's so much more about who we're becoming than finding some how-to strategy on what we think is going to solve our problems or be the next hack. I'm not saying that strategies, hacks, any sort of developmental pieces aren't crucial. But if you cannot execute those things because you're not the human that has been able to do that, it doesn't matter what blueprint somebody gives you. So just remember, it's all about who you become. All right, let's be real. Watching videos alone isn't going to get you where you want to go. Okay? You're ambitious, you've done all the right things, you've worked hard, maybe even built a career or a business you're proud of. But if you're honest with yourself, why does it still feel like something's missing? Maybe you feel stuck, like you've hit a glass ceiling. You can't break through, okay? Maybe you've checked all the boxes, but deep down inside, there's more for you. Maybe you're grinding, but without the right people and tools, it's like running in place. And listen, I get it, and this is exactly why I built Evolved Entrepreneur. This isn't just another community. It's a room full of high-level performers who know exactly what you're going through because they've been through the exact same things. Pro athletes, top entrepreneurs, executives, all pushing themselves for something bigger. The difference? They found the tools, the strategy, and the environment to break through, and now you can too. This is where the breakthrough happens. Because success isn't about where you've been, it's about where you're going. And if you're serious about getting unstuck, about breaking through that ceiling and finally stepping into the level you know you're meant for, then you need to be in this room. So stop waiting, click the link below and join Evolved Entrepreneur and get around the people who will push you to your next level. I'll see you inside.